Welcome to the Beyond Bloated Podcast. I'm Karlee, a certified health coach helping women under 50 ditch their bloat without having to follow super strict and stressful protocols. As someone who's struggled with all sorts of digestive issues for over 5 years, I know exactly how you're feeling. I also know that there's a way to feel better, and it doesn't have to involve tons of expensive supplements and insanely restrictive diets. Join me as I share all of my bloat-busting wisdom to help you say goodbye to that bloated belly and regain your confidence. It's time for you to move beyond bloated. How many times in the past have you told yourself that you're going to start eating healthy and then 20 minutes later you order a pizza? I know I've been there. Life is busy. Some days we're too tired to cook and a pizza is just more appealing. However, if you're trying to reduce your bloat, improve your digestion, have more energy, or just improve your overall quality of living, eating home-cooked meals is definitely going to help get you there. A large Domino's pizza every Friday night sadly will not. I know firsthand that change doesn't happen overnight. We can't go from eating takeout most days of the week to instantly knowing how to make all of our meals at home from scratch. But I do know it's possible to gradually make that change over time because I did so myself. I didn't really know how to cook until my mid-20s. My meals were filled with packaged food that just needed to be shoved in the microwave or the oven for a few minutes. That or a double burger from Harvey's with a chocolate shake on the side. It's no surprise that eating this way for the majority of my life eventually caught up to me and destroyed my gut health. Once my GI symptoms kicked in, I knew that I needed to make a change. And the first thing that I started with was my diet. I started eating less processed food and learned how to cook and bake for myself. It honestly didn't take long for me to notice a massive improvement in how I felt, which is why I kept it going. Now I prefer to eat nourishing home-cooked meals over all the processed junk that I used to eat. Of course, I'll still go out to eat from time to time, and I definitely enjoy that as well. But as today's guest will tell you, nothing beats a home-cooked meal. My guest today is Andrea, the creative force behind the popular blog and Instagram page, Hip Hip Gourmet. Andrea shares a wealth of healthy and fun recipes that never compromise on flavor. She's a firm believer that anything can be made from scratch and that nothing beats homemade. Her passion for creating delicious, nutritious meals from scratch has inspired so many people to embrace healthy eating in a more enjoyable and sustainable way. In today's episode, Andrea will share her journey into healthy eating, provide some fantastic tips for cooking more meals at home, and prove that eating healthy does not have to be boring or bland. I'm so excited to dive into this conversation and learn from Andrea's wealth of knowledge and experience. So without further ado, welcome to the Beyond Bloated Podcast, Andrea. It's such a pleasure to have you here.
Oh, I am so excited, Karlee. Thank you so much for having me. And I'm grateful that you decided to have me as a guest on your podcast.
I would love for you to start our episode off by just letting us know, how did you get into the food business? So maybe your background and what inspired you to start this healthy eating journey.
Sure. So I grew up in an Italian family with very Italian grandparents and very Italian parents. And if you know anything about Italian people at all, we love food. We love cooking food. We love talking about food. We love eating food. But of course, with traditional Italian cooking, although it's very, very delicious, it's also, deep fried and fatty and uses a lot of oils. Basically, everything is battered or breaded. We love our pasta, high in carbs. So that's how I grew up eating. And there's no such thing as portion control in Italian families either. So it's kind of just like stack your plate and basically with the expectancy of eating everything off your plate at the same time. With that, I was bartending and serving for a lot of my working years. So late hours, long shifts, ending at odd hours of the night, like 2, 3, 4 in the morning. So what's available at that time is, convenience stores or fast food joints. So I really wasn't eating healthy in the first part of my life. And I was also leaving high school, going into university with the outside pressure to, maintain a healthy body weight or maintain a certain look. And while I don't focus on that now in my adult years, that kind of was the push to get me at least thinking about the correlation between eating healthy and the way it makes me feel. And you couple that with having to move out of my parents at a certain point and being able to cook for myself now, or being responsible to cook for myself now. And that's what really pushed me into the direction of, okay, now I'm responsible for my meals and I get to choose what goes into my body, and I can make more intuitive decisions and more health conscious decisions, because now I realize that what you eat really does affect the way you act or your mood or your energy levels. Whereas before I had no idea that even was related. So it was pretty cool to transition from all of that, how I grew up and doing that, and being able to focus it into my kickoff journey of a healthy eating, which now I consider a lifestyle more than anything else.
Yes, that's how I love to think about it too. It's not a diet, it's not a temporary thing, it's a lifestyle change. You seem like an interesting case in my eyes anyway, because it sounds like you didn't have any like explosive symptoms. Like it's not like you were having extreme gut pain or anything very obvious to trigger you to start eating healthy. You did start to notice you weren't feeling your best, but it wasn't as dramatic as like in my case, I was like food sensitivities all of a sudden and like pain and all these other symptoms. So did you not experience any of that? It was more of just like, I'm going to get healthy for the sake of it.
Yeah, you're right. I'm fortunate enough to say that no, I haven't experienced any of that. And even weight, I have never really struggled with weight. I'm very fortunate to say that. So it wasn't that kind of stuff that got me to eat healthy. It was kind of just being in control about what I put in my body. I found that really cool. I found it cool to be able to look at something and decide if it's worth eating after a certain point. So no, I didn't have any dietary restrictions or foods that I had to avoid or whatnot. I just kind of wanted to do it for myself, I guess.
I love that. I wish more people were like that. I wish I was like that, because as far as I can tell, you don't have any food sensitivities or any issues today. I think you doing that so early on prevented you from having these issues, because I swear, I think you are one of the only women that I know that does not have gut issues. The fact that you made that choice ahead of time before it got to the point where it was like, I need to make that decision, I think that really benefited you. And I love that. I think more people should do that. Make the choice before you have to. So
Yeah.
that's you.
And again, when you do make that choice and you do start realizing those correlations that food really does have an impact on your body and how you feel, then you want to do it. It doesn't just become a chore, or it doesn't just become something you have to do. You actually want to do it and you're excited about doing it. So that's really great.
Yes, it is so great. That's awesome. Good for you. I know you have a big philosophy on homemade meals. You think homemade's the best and anything can be made from scratch. Can you let us know the benefits of eating homemade versus processed foods?
Sure. So I do have that philosophy, and that came, one of the first things I ever challenged myself to do back in those university days when I started cooking for myself is, can I make it from scratch? I always would look at something, if I'm about to grab, a ranch dressing bottle off the shelf, I would look at it and be like, you know what? Can I make this from scratch? And the amount of times that I answered yes to that question and then actually went home and did make it from scratch. And then not only did it taste better, not only was it better for me, not only was it cheaper in the long run, there was just so many benefits to it that it just, again, that kind of became a lifestyle as well. But yeah, the benefits of eating homemade food compared to processed foods, the biggest one is that you get to control what you're putting into your body. So you get to control the ingredients, you get to avoid additives or preservatives that you necessarily don't want. You get to avoid those ingredients that you don't know how to pronounce. You get to avoid excessive sugars or salts and things, or unnecessary bad fats. So it's really about the control. I find that a major benefit of eating homemade over processed foods. Also, it enhances your culinary skills and knowledge. So the more that you cook for yourself, the more comfortable you're going to be at it. The more that you make homemade meals, or the more you work around your kitchen, the easier it will be for you. So that's definitely a benefit. And a hidden one that's kind of a bonus is processed foods come in a lot of packaging. So you're making a good environmental impact if you're going the homemade route. There's, less packaging and things like that. You're eating more whole foods. So that's always a great benefit.
That's so true. I didn't even think about all the packaging in packaged foods.
Yeah.
That's a great point. I mean, of course, I'm eating healthy for my health and I want to help the environment, but now I'm aware I'm also helping the environment by eating at home. So thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, a nice bonus.
I know eating at home is ideal, but it's not always easy. So for someone who was like me at the beginning of my health journey, I literally did not know how to cook. What would you recommend they do to get started or start learning how to cook?
Basically pull inspiration from wherever you can get it. So if you go out and you eat a lot out, and you had like this great burger the other day at a restaurant, well, why not go home and try to recreate that great burger you had at a restaurant? So now you're starting with something that you already know you enjoy eating. And that's the biggest thing when it comes to cooking healthy for the first time, because a lot of people, like we both know, have this notion that eating healthy is boring or eating healthy is bland. And I beg to differ. It really doesn't have to be. My biggest tip when it comes to starting out healthy eating is just to choose foods that you actually enjoy, choose foods that you actually want to eat, choose foods that you're excited about and that you'll look forward to eating. So that way it's not boring and you'll have more of a higher chance of staying on track and getting success out of it rather than just, shoving down a salad down your throat because you feel like you have to, or you feel like that's healthy. Just start simple, start with easy to follow recipes, something that's familiar to you, cook things that you actually want to eat. A big thing for me on staying on track and healthy eating is meal planning. Like I am like such a big advocate on that because I believe that if you don't plan your meals, so for example, myself, I'll make a meal plan for mostly dinners I do, but if you want to do breakfast, lunch, and dinner, whatever suits your schedule, go for that. But I plan all my dinners for the week ahead. I make a specific grocery list so that when I get to the grocery store, I don't need to go down the chip aisle because chips are not on my list. So I stick to my list and that's what I go in there for. Whereas if I don't do that, well, guess what? It's impulse buying and I'm buying whatever I see. A good tip that I can share, which I was taught back then when I was trying to start my healthy eating journey, is that if you go grocery shopping and you think of the grocery store as you're most likely going to need everything around the perimeter of the grocery store, that's where you're going to find your fruits and veggies. That's where you're going to find your eggs and dairy. That's where you'll find your proteins. So the perimeter of the grocery store is where you want to do the bulk of your shopping, and the aisles I like to see as just fillers or distractants. Of course, you can find, spices and stuff like that throughout aisles that you can use as well. But that's a general thing that I like to keep in mind is just stick to the perimeter of the grocery store and only go on the inside aisles for things that are on your grocery list.
I agree. I've actually, one of my favorite quotes is, if there's a health food aisle in the grocery store, what does that make the rest of the foods sold there?
I've never heard that, and I really like that quote.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. So it's like you got the perimeter, which you said, you have all your meats, your produce, all the good stuff. And then you have one aisle in the middle that's labeled health food.
Mm.
And then you've got another 6 or 7 aisles after that. It's like, what the hell is that food? If it's not labeled the health food,
Yeah.
I don't want that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a great way of looking at it.
Yeah, so that's a great tip. And you also made another good point about salads. Okay, I am a big advocate of healthy eating. I have been eating healthy for 6 years. I straight up don't like salad. I don't. And I'll eat it. Like, I'm not hard against salad, but if I go to a restaurant and I end up eating a salad, I'm never like thinking about that salad in my mind the next day.
Yeah.
Like, whereas if I go and I have like some really good tacos, I'm thinking about those tacos.
Yeah.
So yeah, healthy eating is not a salad. It can be if you like salads, but that's the go-to. Oh, I have to eat healthy. I have to eat salads. But I look at your Instagram page all the time. You make salads, of course, but you make so much other really good food that can be made unhealthy. Like you could make an unhealthy hamburger,
Yeah.
but you make it with better quality ingredients. People think I'm eating healthy. I have to give up everything that I love. You do not have to do that. You just replace the garbagey ingredients in that product with higher quality foods by making it at home yourself. Like you said, you're in control of the ingredients, so you know what's in that. I still eat pizza all the time, but I make the pizza myself. I use like a mix from Bob's You know, Bob's?
Yeah.
Yeah, I use Bob's. I use like my own pasta sauce, my organic pasta sauce, like,
Yeah.
and it's still so good, and it's pizza.
Mm-hmm.
So you can make it. You can make lots of things. We're gonna get to your Instagram page at the end because everyone needs to see these creations. Actually, I would love for you to give us some examples. So maybe tell us like some of your favorite easy recipes that you make on repeat. I know you said you don't make a lot of things on repeat, but
It's funny, I don't, and I know that's not practical for the average person who probably does, and there's nothing wrong with that. I just love to cook so much that I just always want to try new things and stuff like that. But I do have some go-to healthy recipes that I lean back on. One of them is lettuce wraps or rice paper rolls is one of my favorite go-to healthy meals because not only is it quick and convenient, but you can literally customize it with whatever you want. Like you can put loads of veggies, different sauces, and you can change it up every time too. So yeah, you might have a lettuce wrap this week, but you can have a lettuce wrap next week and it'll be two completely different lettuce wraps. You know what I mean? So lettuce wraps are my go-to, I would say, like number one, just because of how easily customizable they are and just how healthy they can be. You can put whatever veggies you want and whatever anything you want. Another one I love for like a quick meal, I guess like a quick lunch, is like an egg drop soup. So I love like just heating up like bone broth or something and slowly drizzling an egg into it and whisking it around. And and then I throw in like a handful of leafy greens like spinach or something just for that extra boost of health. But yeah, I love that. It's ready in 5 minutes. It's delicious. That's definitely one of my go-tos. Or like a yogurt bowl, for example. You know, how easy is that? You just top your yogurt with healthy ingredients like fruit or granola, and there you are. You have a 5-minute healthy meal. So yeah, things like that I really love.
yeah, those sound delicious, actually. I've never had the egg drop soup before. Drizzle in an egg, that's fancy. I like that.
Then you could spice it up with like soy sauce or green onions or anything. You could change that up every time too if you want.
Hey everyone, Karlee here. If you are tired of feeling bloated and uncomfortable, which I know you are, I have something that can really help. My free ultimate guide to bloat busting. I've been there myself, and I know how frustrating it is to try super restrictive diets and expensive supplements without getting results. If those methods were going to work, they would have worked by now. That's why I created this guide to offer you a different approach. In the Ultimate Guide to Bloat Busting, you'll learn techniques to listen to your body and eat with intention, avoiding overeating and choosing foods that truly benefit you, tips for proper hydration to support digestion and reduce bloating, a guide to delicious foods that promote a healthy gut and how to easily incorporate them into your meals, and effective methods to manage stress, which plays a huge role in gut health. These simple, practical strategies can make a big difference in your daily life, helping you feel lighter, more energized, and comfortable in your own skin. Ready to ditch the bloat without strict diets or costly supplements? Download your free copy today at beyondbloated.com/ultimate-guide and start your journey to a bloat-free life. Now, let's get back to it. Wow. And it's also cool. I know you said it's not practical for everyone to make different meals all the time, but there is definitely a benefit to doing that. I mean, not only are you learning how to cook better and your taste buds are probably happy, but you're also benefiting your microbiome because you're eating probably so many different like fruits, vegetables, grains, like all different things. And the wider variety of food that we eat, the more diverse our microbiome is going to be. So you're feeding your good gut bugs, and that's going to help you feel better if you do struggle with gut issues, or even if you don't. I would say, start off with cooking what you can, but the more variety you can add into your diet as well, like that's a plus. So that's the cool thing that you're doing as well.
Oh, for sure. And variety also helps with, what we were talking about earlier, which is that healthy food is not boring or bland. If you keep changing it up and you keep getting creative and you keep, making different things and trying new recipes, then it's going to be a lot more fun than if you're just eating that salad every day.
Yeah, that's also a very good point. I'm that type of way. Like I do rotate probably between a solid like 4 different breakfasts, but I can't eat the same breakfast every day of the week because I'm like, ugh. Like I like overnight oats a lot. That's one of my go-tos, but I'll change the flavor. Like one day I'll put chocolate in it, one day I'll do vanilla, one day I'll make like a turmeric one. Ooh, crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It tastes different.
It tastes different, and those minor changes will help keep you on track because you're not going to get bored of it as quickly as you would if it was just the same thing every day.
Yes, exactly. I like that. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about, getting started if you're brand new. So I know there are going to be very specific things that come up. So people are going to say, I'm busy, I work full time, I can't cook, or I don't know how to cook, or eating healthy is expensive. So do you have any advice for how to get around these barriers?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we are all human, and of course, we all have busy schedules and commitments and stuff like that. And with the price of food nowadays, cost can definitely be a big thing. But the way that I see it is if you have $20 to spend on food and you spend that on a McDonald's Big Mac and fries combo, then there goes your $20. Or you can take that $20 to the grocery store and get a few healthy items to make a nice meal that'll probably keep you fuller longer and even last a couple days rather than just that one meal. So that was a notion that my parents had too about healthy eating is like, oh, it's too expensive. And it's like, well, is it though? Like, is it actually too expensive? Sure, there are some high ticketed health food priced items, but do we all have to consume those things? No, we don't. So I just say, yeah, like plan your budget to include those meals or to include those healthy vegetables. It's really no different than including that McDonald's Big Mac. It's the same thing. It's just what do you choose to spend your money on? In terms of busy schedules and whatnot, yes, of course, that is things that we all have to deal with. And my way to get around that is, again, the meal planning, but not so much the meal planning, it's the meal prepping. So if you know you're going to have a busy week ahead, then take a few minutes on your weekend to cut up your veggies or prepare your meals for the week so that if you do have a busy day, you can come home and reheat it or whatever the case may be. I also love batch cooking. So if I'm making like a pot of soup or something, I'll intentionally make extra just so I can freeze it. I'm lucky enough to have a freezer here. So I do a lot of that. I make food in advance, large batches, and I just have it in the freezer. So if I am busy or I don't feel like cooking or I'm too tired to cook, I know I have a healthy meal waiting. And that to me is easier than ending up in the McDonald's drive-thru. And again, I love like shopping seasonally can save you a lot of money if you stick to what's in season and stuff. Not only does it taste better, but it tends to be cheaper. And don't be shy to look at the flyer for your local grocery store and stock up on the stale items. I do that all the time. I actually intentionally make my meal plans on Fridays because my local grocery stores flyers come out on Thursdays. So I'll have a look at all the flyers. I'll take a note of what's on sale and I'll even stock up on those items if the sales are really good. So that can really be a good tip in saving money wise and helping you really get those ingredients for, not an arm and a leg like people think that they cost.
Yeah, I think those are all fantastic tips. McDonald's is $20 now. What?
Yeah, I know. Well, I'm assuming because everything else.
Yeah, no, I believe it.
Yeah.
And you're right. Like if you get McDonald's, you're going to be hungry again 10 minutes later because it's not food.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's just it's about changing the way you view things as well. It is easier, of course. Well, sometimes I can argue that it's actually not even easier to go through the McDonald's drive-through. Another tip that I can give is to have like a stocked pantry with all of the essential items that you use on a daily basis in your recipes. So whether that's, oils or spices or herbs, if you have those on hand, then your grocery list won't be as big every week and you can just easily create meals on the fly.
That's true. And I also have a point about the shopping the sales. So this is more of a tip, actually. Do you use the Flip app?
No, I don't.
Okay, so I love the Flip app. I don't know if it's 1P or 2, FLIP or possibly 2Ps, but it goes onto your phone. It's an app. And then most grocery stores are on it. So like Thrifty's by Me is on it. M&M's is on it. The Bulk Barn is on it. Like there's lots of different places where you can buy food that are on this app and it just gives you all the sales and it's searchable. So say you want to buy eggs. You search eggs and it'll tell you where around you is selling eggs on sale. And you can like click on it and it'll highlight it and put it in like your little grocery cart. So then you like know what your list is. You can also write items in there if they're not on sale even. Like that way you just have a digital grocery list because we all have our phones on us at all times.
Yeah.
I love that app. I use it all the time. And like you said, on Thursdays is when it gets updated. So every Thursday I go on and start tapping what I want. And then you can kind of decide like what grocery store you want to go to that day, because you're like, hey, this one has a lot of stuff on sale that I'm wanting. So I'm going to go there for the day, and that's going to be my groceries for the week.
That is pretty awesome. I'm going to have to check that out.
Okay, so I know you're not gluten, dairy free. You don't have any dietary restrictions, which I'm so happy for you. Hell yeah. But unfortunately, a lot of us do. So if we want to make one of your recipes and it's not gluten or dairy free, is it easy to convert into that, or any other dietary restriction for that matter?
Yeah, I mean, even though I'm not gluten or dairy free, I actually do have some gluten and dairy free recipes on my website, as you made my banana loaf the other day that was gluten free.
Yes, so
But if you are looking at a recipe that isn't gluten free or dairy free, a lot of them do. You could, especially nowadays, I think you would know more about this than I am because you have to follow a strict diet when it comes to those things. But I feel like there's like a gluten free or a dairy free alternative to a lot of ingredients, a lot of common ingredients. For example, if you're using milk, you can use plant-based milk or dairy-free milk instead. And these changes don't really alter the taste of the recipe. I will note it in there if it does. Like, can't really think of an example right now, but if something will alter it, for example, really change the taste of it, I would let my viewers know. But for the most part, I find it easy to alter recipes to suit any dietary restriction. Like even my meat recipes, you can take out the meat sometimes and make it vegetarian or vegan or something like that. You can just change one small thing and then it becomes gluten-free or dairy-free.
yeah, no, you are right. Like I've learned through time how to make pretty much anything gluten or dairy free, and it really doesn't change the taste. I did make your gluten-free banana bread, which was already gluten-free, and it's fire. So everyone go make that banana bread. But like, I think I swapped out butter for coconut oil because I don't eat butter. So
Yeah.
like, and that was an easy swap. Still tastes delicious. You can also swap butter for like ghee or even oil. Like there's so many different swaps that you can make. Eggs, you can use like a flax egg if you are vegan. And I use like Bob's Red Mill all-purpose gluten-free flour. I use that shit in everything, and it seems to work pretty well. The one thing about gluten-free, big tip for anyone who's new to gluten-free, if you overmix it, it's game over. Like you need to very gently mix anything gluten-free, because for some reason it just develops this like gummy texture, and then it's not that good. So I've learned that the hard way. It took me years to figure this out. I'm like, why is this so weird? But yeah, just mix it until it's just combined and then you're good. But you are right. It's very easy, I think, nowadays to make anything gluten-free, dairy-free, egg-free, whatever free you need.
Mm-hmm.
So even if you find a recipe and you're like, oh, I wish I could make this, but it uses eggs, there are easy ways that you can swap it out, and you can just literally Google, I don't have eggs, what do I use? And I find it doesn't mess up the recipe.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're almost out of time. So please let us know all about your blog and your Instagram page, where we can find it, what kind of things you make. I want to hear all of it.
Sure. So my blog is www.hiphipgourmet.com, like hip hip hooray, but hip hip gourmet. I know a lot of people always see it at first glance and say hip hop gourmet, and it's hiphipgourmet.com. And my Instagram, or all social media for that matter, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, is just at hip hip gourmet. I do love to focus on healthy homemade recipes, but I like to make it things that people actually want to eat. Like obviously things that I want to eat, things that people I'm cooking for enjoy eating. So you can find a collection of anything from breakfast, lunch, dinner, snack recipes, side dishes, just a whole ton, because I don't focus on one specific diet. So you'll find anything from vegan recipes to meat recipes, just a whole variety of different stuff.
Cool. Yes, I'm going to link all of that information into the show notes. So I'm going to put all your medias and your blog in there so people can find it. I will say your food looks phenomenal. And she also posts the recipes on the blog, so you step by step can figure it out. And she also posts the video a lot of the time on like you making it, which is, I think, very helpful for someone who literally is like, what does that mean? I don't get it.
I do. So on the blog, I'll actually have process photos as well. So I'll have step-by-step instructions with process photos as I'm doing it. And then I do the video for pretty much all of my recipes have a video. And then I'll even do a voiceover over the video to explain to people what they should be doing. So I find that all of that combined is helpful.
Yeah, it is helpful. Have you seen that Schitt's Creek episode where they're like, fold in the cheese? And she's like, what does that mean?
That show.
Yeah, so that's what I'm picturing. Someone's reading like fold in the cheese and they're like, what does that mean? But if you have a visual, it really does help, especially if you're new to cooking and if you're new to healthy eating and you want to start making more meals at home. Check out Andrea's blog, check out her Instagram page, all of her socials. Very delicious recipes. Make the banana bread. It's my favorite. Thank you so much for being here, Andrea. I really enjoyed talking to you today.
Thank you so much, Karlee. I really enjoyed talking to you as well.
Thank you for listening to the Beyond Bloated podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please take a moment to subscribe and leave a review. And don't forget to share this podcast with your fellow gut goddesses. If you'd like to chat about today's episode, send me a DM on Instagram at beyond.bloated. Until next time, bye!